During the pandemic, we were out a lot. I mean, I'd say probably every 3 days or 2 days, I think we would go out on a hike. 3 feet of snow, we were going out, or rain, we were going out.
The Pine Barrens is still such a wild space because it's a landscape that doesn't lend itself to intense development.
And I believe the New Jersey Devil surfaces every so often in the Pine Barrens. With foraging, there's not so much an interest in speed and trying to get to your end destination very quickly. It's very much about being on the trail, but then actually kind of walking off the trail.
Moving slowly and looking closely is so different than how most people experience the world around them on a daily basis.
Often we separate ourselves from all the creatures, all the plant life that we see outside in the woods, and it's kind of a spectacle and it's something we maybe enjoy, but we're isolated and we're separated from that. I think the more and more time you spend out in the woods, you definitely start to break that illusion.
There's always a chance you're going to see something, certainly that you've never seen before, but possibly no one's ever seen before. When we first met, she was making films unlike anything I had really seen.
We'd always had our individual practices, and actually it was a little bit challenging for a long time because we were often each other's competition.
We had several attempts at collaboration before we actually kind of figured out how to pull it off.
During COVID, obviously, we were kind of limited with trying to do anything with large groups of people, but we still were really having a wonderful time going out in the woods. And we're like, this experience means a lot to us. How can we embody that experience and then show it to another group of people? We decided to create a terrarium. And for us, that was a contained space that showcased all of the beautiful plants that we were seeing as we were going out on our hikes.
Careful to not make it too much of a literal representation of it, because we wanted to invite a little bit of imagination and fantasy.
And creating what seemed like a very vast, large sort of forest space, even though it would be on a much, much smaller scale. Having this terrarium was a lot, I think, like having a pet. I mean, we really had to care for it. We had to maintain it. We had to trim the plants regularly, and we had to water everything. And then we were filming it in addition.
We wanted it to be a space where you could sort of lose yourself and, believe that animals and plants are talking to each other, and that you could sort of tune into this conversation as if the narrator of some strange nature show had just walked off set. We were trying to imagine what happens in a forest after all the humans are gone from that forest. When we're not hiking through it, observing things, what's going on, like are the animals getting together and having a dance party? Everything in this terrarium that we fabricated plays a role in sustaining that environment. Just as everyone on our block, has a role in the neighborhood. Collaborative survival is sort of one of the fundamental lessons, found in an ecosystem. If you can contribute something, you're part of that self-sustaining system, and there's room for oddballs.